Beyond the Waves is a Hail Hail Media production. It's rated R, and may not be appropriate for underage Tims. There's going to be sweary words, and there's going to be adult situations being discussed. If you're in the company of underage Tims, turn off the show now and listen back later. If you're in the company of Huns, point at them, laugh, and turn it up. Hail Hail and keep the faith.
I was just a young boy, and you were just a young girl. We heard that roll, standing on the terraces. We knew we'd never walk alone. No matter where I traveled, no matter where I told, the thing I wanna see the most is the Glasgow Celtics goal. I've been to Munich, been to Paris and Berlin. I watched injustice fall upon you in Turin, and I've shared the pain and glory with the friends that I have made as I dance from place to place in green and white on a worldwide Tim parade. Roared the boys to victory, from the north to the south to the east and west. The Tims of many cultures, from Aloha all the way to Bangladesh, singing songs together as a Celtic family. One people under green and white shouting, sure it's a grand old tea. I've been to Munich, been to Paris and Berlin. I watched injustice fall upon you in Turin, and I shared the pain and glory with the friends that I have made as I dance from place to place in green and white on a worldwide Tim parade. I've been an E-Tim, I've been a lost boy, I get the quick news. I'm Celtic minded, I found the Celtic underground. On the huddle board we gathered round to meet on Kerrydale Street. I've been to Munich, been to Paris and Berlin. I watched injustice fall upon you in Turin, and I've shared the pain and glory with the friends that I have made as I dance from place to place in green and white on a worldwide Tim parade.
Captain! Land ahoy!
Listen, do you want to chat about Celtic after the game and avoid the usual Scottish hacks? Then tune into the Beyond the Waves Celtic show on the Hail Hail Media channel. I'm telling you, Graham, the Rev, the coach, they're there after every game to take your calls and talk you down from the ledge if need be. The guys are live after every single match, and you can catch them at www.Spreaker.com and then just search for Hail Hail Media. So if you'd like some Celtic discussion that'll make you feel a bit Yankee Doodle Dandy, tune into Beyond the Waves radio show. Yankee Doodle. The others fear when they hear us cheer as we sing the Celtic song.
Welcome to the Beyond the Waves Celtics Football Show. My name is Graham Wilson, and today we're going to break down the result today against Real Madrid. It's 2-0, and I think everybody that was in attendance at Lincoln Financial Field had an absolutely fantastic time. Joining me today, a lot of special people, and let's just get right to it. First off, joining us all the way from County Donegal, it's Phil McGillivray. Phil, hail, thanks so much for joining us. What do you make of this team here in Philadelphia? Celtics going up against Real Madrid. Certainly a spectacular atmosphere. What's your takeaways so far in your time in Philadelphia about the Celtic support here in America? Your thoughts?
Well, like I said here, this is an amazing city. It's a huge Irish city, which means it's a huge city for Celtic Football Club. But I think that Celtic Football Club, as a club, has only started to scratch the surface of the potential support here in North America because of the club's Irish heritage and Irish roots. And I said that those exact sentiments to senior people at the club today and yesterday, that if they do not aggressively target the Irish American market, then they're really failing in their duty to the club and to the Celtic family.
No question about it. I can't echo those sentiments enough. I think that we've made a statement here that there is a vibrant Celtic supporting community here in America that is worthy of attention, it's worthy of recognition. As I mentioned to Peter Lowell and myself yesterday directly, we're just looking for opportunities to support the club, but we need it to be easy for the supporters in general. But we love the club, and we're looking for more outlets. And today was an absolutely phenomenal opportunity for us. We had an absolutely phenomenal time, and we hope it's not the last. We hope that they come back to America very soon, really often, because of the opportunity that you mentioned yourself there. Also joining us, aside from the usual suspects, a really special treat. It's just almost surreal in a way. You know him from the Rebel podcast. He's all the way from Melbourne, Australia. It's Prefontaine. You know him on Twitter as Prefontaine67. Got a chance to spend a lot of time with him over the past couple of days. It's just been absolutely phenomenal. Pre, thanks so much for joining us today, and give us your thoughts in terms of the Celtic support here in the U.S. And how does that reconcile with what your expectations were coming into this? Were you surprised? And just what are your takeaways, your thoughts?
Go Bill Mahias, Graham, for inviting me on to the #1 Celtic podcast in the world. It's fantastic to be here in this great city. Look, I was very surprised actually. The depth of the Celtic support here in North America. I mean, you go to Celtic bars and where I come from in Australia, like in Melbourne and Sydney, the predominant accents you hear in those pubs are Irish or Scots or Glaswegian accents. There's a smattering of Australian accents that you hear in those kind of places, but it's quite clear that in North America the support has gone through generation after generation of American children, and that's fantastic. It means that it's going to be more cemented, and it's important, I think, for the club that they build upon that going forward. And I guess trips like this one today help sort of cement that amongst the support, and that's and they need to show respect towards that as well.
No question about it. It's great to get different perspectives from folks who come here from overseas, and so often you find that people are surprised by the passion that's exhibited, not just from the American support over here, but as well as the expats and the amount of knowledge that folks have, not just of the game itself, but the club and its history and what it means, which I think is just a testament to what the club really is, and it's just special, having these opportunities like yourself and Phil coming from so far, and we can come together and just have an absolutely phenomenal weekend like we have, and hopefully, as I mentioned before, it's not the last, and we have more and more convenient opportunities to do just this. Also joining us, from Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It's the coach. Say hi, coach. coach is a man of many words, as we all know, but he's here and we love him. I think we're in the process of setting up a Ustream feed here, so hopefully in the next couple of minutes we'll have that up and live. So let's talk about the game today. We were there, we got to see it live, which is always a treat for us here in the U.S. Obviously some very nervous moments with regard to Dylan McGeoch, obviously. But in terms of the quality that Celtic exhibited, I mean, obviously, coming off of the Helsinki game midweek, which you also attended Prefontaine, you absolute maniac. And I can't be more jealous. Obviously, we're riding in here on a bit of a high. We have a lot of confidence coming in, and but I mean, certainly can't be doubted. We're going up against some amazing competition. I mean, it's no surprise. Real Madrid is an absolutely phenomenal side in terms of quality, in terms of what they offer, and I think we really held our own. We were able to maintain possession for large stretches throughout the game, and really took it to them until we just got to the final third, and obviously the final product wasn't going to be there. Didn't have Gary Hooper. Daryl Murphy started out. It seemed as though he picked up a bit of a knock, so. We had, which we discussed during the game, some of the younger players coming in, which I always like to see. What were your takeaways from the game today? Especially given the fact that you saw the Helsinki game live. Were you surprised at the result? I mean, obviously we're disappointed getting the 2-0, but did you think that we held our own? In a certain sense, especially. Fingers crossed, we're going to be in the group stage of the Champions League. We might come up against Real Madrid again very soon. What were your thoughts in terms of how we stood up to them?
Look, I think that both teams were going to approach this game differently. It's a friendly first and foremost. I think Real Madrid are sort of in the final stages of their preparation for the start of the Spanish season. And they were going to sort of, I guess it's a financial obligation for them to play their best players in the first half. And they were just sort of going through the motions. At the same time, it's different for Celtic. Where season has started, we've had 3 significant matches played already, 2 of them being European qualifiers. And obviously, as you mentioned, on Wednesday we had the return leg in Helsinki, which was a big game for the club. Obviously, financially, it's a big game for the club. We need to progress in Europe, and now we're guaranteed at least some form of European football through to Christmas. But I thought that after the Helsinki game, I thought to myself, these guys put in a hard shift in that game. I mean, after the match, the team flew straight back to Glasgow. They got in at 1 o'clock in the morning. I know that because I saw the team get off the plane next to our plane that the supporters chartered flight. And then they were back up at 7 o'clock in the morning and flew to America. So they would have been pretty exhausted. And I think that Neil Lennon possibly sort of said to himself, well, what do we really want to get from this game? We don't want to get injuries, and it's unfortunate that young Dylan McGeoch, who I actually thought played a really good game on the wing. He was one of our better attacking outlets. But obviously, he didn't play any of our natural forwards. Like we didn't have Sammy, we never had Hooper, we never had Stokesy. This was a fairly hot-scotch kind of side that we put together against one of the better football teams in Europe. And to lose 2-0 in a friendly, I thought that was a fine result. Obviously we don't like to lose games. If it was a real game, we would have been pissed off. But it was a friendly, and I think Lennon wanted to get through the game, giving some young guys some experience against some quality footballers, and some other guys a bit of run out. It was interesting that Commons played pretty much the whole 90 minutes. Up front. That's a hard shift to do that on his own. I mean, he had Murphy there for a while, but it was fairly ineffective. So obviously he wants to get Commons into some sort of match fitness that we got from him when we first signed him 2 seasons ago. Because obviously last year wasn't a great performance from the bloke. There was I think some good things to take from the game, and they've got to fly back now to Scotland, and they've got to start their league campaign and get ready for the Helsingborg. So I think it was a good performance by the team overall.
No question about it. You bring up several great points there. In terms of obviously prior to his injury, I thought Dylan McGeoch put in quite a nice shift. It's an opportunity for him to get a starting place and really it seems as though his time at Celtics thus far has been, in a couple of different scenarios. He's played on the right wing. He's even played through the middle at times, and he's a dynamic player with that. He's obviously good with the ball at his feet, as we've seen in that wonder goal they scored last November. But he's also played, right back. So he's trying to find his feet in terms of where he fits into the side with different formations, and certainly we're hoping for the best with regard to him. We're hearing just now that it perhaps is a fractured jaw. Now, as we're sitting in the seats, we don't have any information, in terms of the analysis or maybe some background information. And there was a hush that went over the complete crowd, where you're fearful of the worst. That they brought out the stretcher, they took it off. It's like, okay, that's good. Then they brought out a gurney. It's like, then it really cranks up, the anxiety with it. So fingers crossed that it's nothing that is going to hinder his career long term. Obviously, it was vicious, what took place. But a couple of performers that really stood out to me. First off, Lucas Luska. You mentioned Gary Hooper didn't play today. Stokesy, Fraser Forster didn't play today. But Lucas Luska, I think, put in an excellent shift. You're going up against so much firepower now with Real Madrid. Obviously Ronaldo, Benzema, who played today and was excellent. Just what you expect. I think this could have easily been 5 or 6-0 if Lucas Luska hadn't stepped up and made several nice saves and actions. Commanding the box. Another player that's gotten some stick recently is Emilio Zagari, coming back from that horrific injury that he had this time last season. And it's almost as though he's trying to not only find his fitness, but find his courage again, And I thought he did quite well on that left-hand side, dealing with the likes of Ronaldo coming down there and wave after wave. There were several good defensive maneuvers that he went through. Who were a couple of stand-up performers in your mind?
I think the three guys that I was most interested in seeing playing well today was the three guys that didn't really feature much in the season last year, which was Biram Kale, Chris Collins, and Emilio Zagari. I thought all three of those guys played really well today. I want to see Kale have a good season this year. I think it's very important to the team. I think that part of our fight back last year was when Kale started to play a bit more football. So I really think that it's. I think that the club's in good stead. People forget how young the team is, and there is a bit of depth about the squad, and I think that. And I think the fact that the club's got a lot of depth. It's a young team. It didn't cost us a lot of money. And I think the future's bright for Celtic going forward. Obviously, it seems like our scouting program seems to be working all of a sudden. For so many years, we were signing so many duds, and all of a sudden, we're actually starting to sign some decent players. And I think that's I think that holds us a good step for the future.
Absolutely.
Sorry, we're dealing with some technical difficulties there. We're trying to broadcast live to the bar, but it's not really working out. I think we just got our eviction notice. So we're just going to be coming to you live directly through Spreaker. So we are here in Philadelphia broadcasting live to the good folks here, and we're exclusive to you listening in on the radio. It's fantastic. I think a major conclusion from this game thus far was, we talk about fitness tests, and fitness exercises, so to speak, with, the preseason, and we're trying to get formidable competition so that, we can test our mettle. And you mentioned Chris Collins playing an entire 90 minutes. I thought that was good for him. He's taken so much stick over the past in terms of his fitness. Now, obviously, he comes into this season looking much trimmer, much more fit, and much more committed. He's definitely in the mood. Many of the attacking endeavors that we had into the final third were led by him. Obviously, with more neutral midfield, I would say, with Miguel, Ledley, Kyle, he's really going to be the man. He's going to be the creative playmaker, and especially playing through the middle as he was. I hope that he can continue the fine form that he's shown in this preseason throughout as we go into, obviously, the next round of Champions League qualifiers and, hopefully get past Helsingborgs. Now,
you spent a little time in Scandinavia recently. I've learned that we're going to go up against Helsingborgs. We don't know much about them, other than that's Henrik's club. What are your thoughts? I mean, after watching the game in Helsinki live, what do you think our chances are at this point in terms of getting past this side? Because, I mean, let's be honest. We can't take any side that we come up against lightly. We've seen, the so-called minnows of Europe come up and bite us. We have an opportunity, though. Are you more confident after watching this side in Helsinki on Wednesday? Your thoughts?
I think that the support, being the home league and the away league, I found the support being quite critical of the team and that Helsinki were pitched and all sorts of stuff. But they weren't a great side, but they were a very well organised side. They had fast wingers, and I think Celtic didn't want to make a mistake that they've done in the past with Braga and Sion and those other teams where we take teams for granted. Celtic were very cautious in that first game, and in the end, really, they kind of played off the park. We had a lot of opportunities, but our finishing was rubbish, And that's at the start of the season. That's what's going to happen. Over time, they'll get better at that. In the second leg, I thought by the sort of Helsinki came out well in the second half, and that was their best chance of winning the game. Celtic played good European football. They were very, very patient. They kept the ball, and the two goals basically suggested that I think the team has come a long way in the last 12 months. That wouldn't happen last year. We would have lost that game, and I think we're in a good position to do well against the Swedish side in 2 weeks' time.
Now, it also seems as though, Phil, let me turn to you now. It almost seems as though there was a paradigm shift amongst the team itself, the mentality. We've gone to these away legs in Europe so frequently over the recent past, and it just seems as though we consistently come up just short. But the mentality of this side on Wednesday, obviously it's hard to judge after just one result, but it was declarative. Phil, what are your thoughts? I mean, could this perhaps be a paradigm shift mentally, and we can go into the away leg is going to be the first leg, which in my opinion is an advantage. Has the mentality changed within this Celtic side, and can we be getting off of this latest plateau we've been on? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I hope so, but one of my main thought at the moment is, having just come out of the press conference with Neil Lennon, Neil was rhyming off various players who were injured, like Anthony Stokes felt his ankle in the warm-up, Gary Hooper felt his hamstring last night, so I said to him, after he had rhymed off these different players that may or may not be available for selection, I said, is there any possibility that you would have a player or two in before?
Great question.
Yeah, and he said, and I was in the front row, I could see him when he said the answer. He says, a standard enough answer. He's got a toe the party line. He says, always looking to strengthen. We've got options, but nothing new on the horizon. Now, that might suit the people in the boardroom, but I know it doesn't suit Neil Lennon. Yeah, we've got, I think we're short in central defence, and I think we're short up front. I think the guys in the boardroom have a view of, well, we'll see if we get through with what we've got. And I'm sorry, I can't agree with that.
I'm in the same view. I think this is a great opportunity for the club to really press home the advantage that we have over Sevco. And I think one or two signings are necessary. And I agree with Phil. Certainly, we need a centre back. We need one more centre back. And there's an outside chance we may lose Wanyama to someone down south.
Lots of talk about that as well. Absolutely.
And if we do that, then the money that we get from him, which I think would be significant, we need to reinvest back into the club. Look, I get the economic cautiousness of the board. I think they've been proven right, given the fact that Rangers have become liquidated and don't exist anymore.
Excuse me, Sevco.
Sevco still exists, but Rangers don't. So, they don't exist. So that validates their strategy over the past 10, 15 years. And Celtic fans, we want signings, etc. But there's a balance. You can't be tight asses, and you can't be throwing money, pissing against the wall. So I agree with Phil. We need to sign a couple of players. But having said that, though, if they're not out there, and if the price is too much, there's no point paying for it. We're not the EPL. Let's not throw money like we're in La La Land. So there's a balance there.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And we've gotten a lot of feedback from Twitter. Talking about
it's important that we don't throw bad money after good, or good money after bad, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And you highlight the point there just perfectly, where we need more Izagiri type signings. We need more Kyle type signings. Diamonds in the rough, if you will. And that's exactly what we're crying out for at this point. We're not asking for a £20 million infusion into the club. That would be foolhardy considering the revenue capacity that we have. But something needs to be done. I mean, this stand pat attitude that's come from the board thus far. I mean, obviously, you talk about the death of Rangers and the effect that it has, and et cetera, et cetera. We have decent information that shows the season tickets are consistent with what happened last year. We're not in a biscuit tin mentality. We certainly don't need to be with the specter of European football waiting right on the horizon there. You mentioned a center half. I mean, we saw Thomas Rania come up, perhaps with a hamstring. He's always suspect. He's prone to the odd calf strain, the hamstring pull, something of that nature. And it just doesn't fill you with a lot of confidence. We need cover, and we just don't have it right now. And I think we could use a bit of quality as well. Getting back to Gary Hooper, the striker situation, we saw Daryl Murphy out there starting the game. He's nobody's favorite, let's be honest. But let me ask you this, and Phil, I'm going to get your thoughts on this as well. We have a situation where Gary Hooper, he has a knack for scoring goals. He knows what he's doing. He's dangerous in the box. But we've seen peaks and troughs from him, where, and I think this was highlighted very well by Harper on the Homeboys as well as, other areas. Is there a bit of contentment creeping in? Because obviously you want a striker to be happy in his surroundings. You want him to be content, but not too content. And I think maybe, he feels as though that the job is his. There's nothing really pushing him, and I think that's desperately needed going into the opening of this season. What are your thoughts there in terms of the mentality of the strikers that we have just now? And just might be what we need, another dynamic, young, up-and-coming striker that's going to come in, push them a little bit, and have them think, especially in training, we need to be on our game to keep our job. What are your thoughts there?
I do think that there needs to be competition for places in all the positions across the team. And I think that last season there was good competition between Stokesy and Hooper, and Sammy kind of basically played himself into a. I mean, if there's a greater example of Lazarus coming back from the dead, it's Giorgio Samaras. I mean, the guy must have been wandering around Lennoxtown 2-3 seasons ago thinking, where is my career going? And I think that demonstrates how I think that Neil Lennon is actually a very good man manager by turning his career around.
Yeah, but he's done that by doing what Sven Goran Eriksson said when he first came to England from Greece, when Eriksson was the manager at Man City. Eriksson said, you're a wide left midfield player, and they had a fallout. Now, if you see when George Samaras is wide left, he's probably our best wide left player at creating with a ball at his feet. If you stick him up as a strike partner, waiting in the box, he looks lost. And for a big guy who can head the ball, he seems incapable of doing an attacking header, like a classic centre forward. So he's a wide left player, which gives us two recognised strikers, both of which were said to me today in the post-match press conference, are both carrying injuries.
And that certainly doesn't fill you with a lot of confidence. When you hear something like that, I mean, what sort of cover do we have? Again, we keep talking about the specter of Champions League football. We're going to be in Europe, we know that. We're going to need some squad rotation. We're going to need some depth. We're going to need some options. And with that, we need to make some signings. And it just hasn't happened yet. There's I think, an abundance of caution that really doesn't, in my opinion, need to be taking place. We can reasonably predict that we're going to have an additional stream of revenue coming in. Season ticket sales have been robust, relatively speaking. So now it's up to Peter Lowell to do what needs to be done to strengthen this side, not just to continue to grow and push on, but be able to compete in Europe. We're joined now by a member of the audience. We want to get some participation here. Go ahead, and people are handing me things left and right. Let's introduce ourselves to our guests, to the panel here. Go ahead, speak right in the microphone. Let us know your name, where you're from. The coach is trying to get into my piece. Go ahead. Please, tell us where you're from. We're at the game today. What were your thoughts on the game? What were your thoughts on this atmosphere? It's absolutely mental. Go ahead.
Well, hello everybody. It's Harry here. I'm from Aberdeen, Scotland. Just a little bit south of where Sevco drew 2-2 with Peterhead today. My father, who's an Aberdeen supporter, he sent me a couple of texts there with a few signposts about SFA that way, SPL that way. So we had a lot of fun about that today anyway. But yeah, I was at the game today. I wasn't expecting much against Real Madrid. We're playing Kaká, we're playing Ronaldo. So I mean, what are you going to do against players like that? They're the best team in the world, right? So 2-0, it's not too bad. I'm more worried about Dylan McGeoch than anything else. Haven't heard anything about him, but broken jaw. Right, so I hear he's got a broken jaw. Hopefully he's still capable to do something this season. I thought we did quite well against them. Actually, the most impressive player was Dylan McGeoch, and he had a lot of aggressive runs against Real Madrid team that you wouldn't expect, but I would appreciate his aggression in the game. The players, you could tell they got tired with the heat. They weren't used to the heat there, so they were tiring through the game. But all in all, it was nice to be amongst a bunch of Celtic fans and having a good time.
Fantastic, Harry. Thanks so much for coming on. You mentioned, we're going up against, we keep saying it, Real Madrid, fantastic side, full of quality. Do you feel confident, with the team that we've currently assembled, minus any signings? Would you feel confident going into the group stage of the Champions League and our ability to, obviously we'd love to get into the knockout stages and really turn some heads, but even to finish third and get into the knockouts of the Europa League, are you confident with what we have now, and what are the missing pieces here? What are the missing components that we really need to get?
Well, one thing I feel good about is the fact that we've had the same team for 2-3 years, and there's something about camaraderie and the guys playing together. I like that. I'm not expecting to win the European Cup, let's be honest. But
why not?
Well, apart from the old Celtic optimism, that's a different deal, right? But realistically, I think we've got a good chance of getting into the Champions League. And if you look at the payout with the Champions League, I don't know, that in itself is worthwhile. Yeah, I don't know. I think the fact that we have the same team, we've had them for 2-3 years, that in itself is strong enough to at least get us to the Champions League. And that in itself would be great as far as I'm concerned.
Well, Harry, let me get your thoughts. As obviously you're from Aberdeen, you're spending some time now in North America. Fantastic, spreading the word of Celtic everywhere we go, as we do.
Yeah.
What in your mind needs to happen in order to facilitate the spreading of the Celtic brand, of the Celtic family? I mean, we've expressed our frustration sometimes with the lack of accessibility sometimes for American supporters to resources such as merchandise. Now, we were told that there was going to be merchandise at the stadium today. There was none. I was told by Peter Lowell that there were some obstacles that came up in terms of licensing, import, exports, etc. But we saw Real Madrid come with those very same resources. Now, if Peter Lowell wants to make statements like Celtic is amongst the biggest clubs in the world, he needs to start behaving like the biggest clubs in the world. And every time they come here, they have those resources. But in your mind, spending time here, what else do Celtic need to do to be able to embrace the market here and further the Celtic family? Your thoughts there?
Well, I'm in total agreement with you as far as the fact that they weren't selling any Celtic stuff. I happen to deal with a bunch of Dutch immigrants in my job in Ontario, and they're all big football fans as well. And so one of them happened to have a son who's a Real Madrid fan, so he heard I was going down to the game, so he asked for something. And my idea was to get my scarf with Celtic Real Madrid, and of course couldn't find it outside the ground, right?
It's unbelievable.
So I had to buy him a stupid soccer top that said Real Madrid in the back. But that's not what I want, right? I wanted to educate them about Celtic, right? So I was pretty disappointed that that's all they had. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you communicate that problem to Celtic and that they would take it more seriously when they come to the USA. I don't know. I don't understand it.
I mean,
they should be advertising more. I don't know.
The opportunity's here. I mean, look at this. Look at the scene here. It's
I
absolutely mental. The people are here. They're crying out for easier and better ways to give the club their money, to give the club their heart. And they just do us no favors. I told Peter Lowell yesterday, I said, here's my hand, I'm putting it out. You need to put your hand out and shake it back. Make it easier for us.
Well, I mean, I think Celtic needs to take it more seriously. That's the bottom line. There's a lot of expats over here. I mean, I was brought up in Scotland. I moved to Kilmarnock. I went to all the games. I mean, I can't get enough of Channel 67. I appreciate that. I get to see every game live now. I live in the middle of nowhere, right? So, I mean, for me, as soon as they introduced live matches on Channel 67, honestly, that was great, right?
Absolutely. And the quality is improving all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to rival. We talked about this earlier, where it doesn't rival, what you get with MLB, Major League Baseball, or some of the NFL fees, but it's getting there. We're working on it. I appreciate that.
Let's go right down to rural Ontario. I live in a country farming type community, right? So I coach the football, and so anyway, just as an example, my assistant coach, right? He's just a young boy, 15. I give him a Celtic top to thank him. So he's running around the park as we play social football with a Celtic top on. And so I'm educating them, and I'm doing all. So we all try that at base level, at grassroots. But the club needs to have the same enthusiasm, right?
Fantastic.
Because, I mean, there's a massive opportunity in North America. There really is, right?
Yeah, no question.
And the trouble is that they don't understand the way we are, right? So we have to sell that to them. And I think they're just not taking it seriously. That's the bottom line.
And I think you hit the nail right on the head there. Now, one effort, if we're going to call them out for all their mistakes, we do have to credit them for the advancements that they've made.
Oh, yeah.
I just mentioned Celtic TV has improved in quality. It's still not there yet, but they're working on it. I appreciate the trajectory that's going on. We've seen them embrace Twitter, and I think that the game,
great.
The live feeds via Twitter are absolutely brilliant as well. And hopefully they continue to embrace that sort of technology, advance it, so that we can enhance the fans' experience. Now, another step that the club made this week, and they announced here in Philadelphia, they're going to be opening up a youth academy for youth players in America to bring along that talent and help facilitate the growth of the game here in the United States. I think it's an absolutely phenomenal endeavor. Phil, let me go back to you here, get your thoughts in terms of the significance. Celtic announcing they're opening an academy here. I mean, what does this tell us? I mean, does this tell us that yes, they are interested in the opportunity here? I mean, is this going to be a first step, or I mean, what sort of launch outs should we have for something like this?
Well, first of all, I think it shows that North America, Philadelphia in particular, but North America might actually be starting to grow very good soccer players, and that's always been something I've expected to happen, and actually expected to happen a lot earlier, given the size of the country, the diverse gene pool, the mix of people, the fabulous facilities, and how the American mind approaches as problem solving as opposed to blame attributing. And I hope just the way that people get optimism here and can do. I was speaking to the people at the presser on the other day there about the sports partnership and all that, and there's a social function to this as well. So I can only see good coming out of this. If there might be a gem of a footballer down the line, great, but otherwise I would hope that it's a pilot project that Celtic could, in partnership, replicate in other cities, particularly where people have got a natural ethnic affection for Celtic.
Perhaps that would be an opportunity, absolutely. And as an American, I just want to speak to one, I guess it's a lining up, if you will, of a frustration that I've had as an American soccer supporter, fan, if you will, whatever. what you find so often within North America, not just the United States, and I know I always say America, the U.S., it's North America. A frustration that I have, though, is so many of the youth talent that are brought through on the basis of what academy they attended, who they know, and many of these academies are very expensive. You have to pay into, you have to have resources. That facilitates the idea in the U.S. that this is a rich kid's sport, and it's such a shame, because it's such an accessible sport. You need a ball. You don't even need a ball. You need you hear stories of kids in Brazil, just crumbling up, just had a smash class, crumbling up bars and putting their jumpers down for goals and just having to go in their garden or in their street. I don't facilitate playing in the streets, kids, but this is a miss for the North American establishment, if you will, where they make it so restricted to people who have financial resources. I love the fact that Celtic is coming here and they're setting up an academy in a working class neighborhood in Philadelphia that I'm very familiar with, and having it accessible. And in my conversation with Peter Lowell, we did talk about this, and that was part of his ethos. I'm going to hold him to that every single week, as he knows. But having it in a working class area that's going to be accessible for more people is really, I'm delighted by it. It strikes very close to my heart. Where we can make the game not just more accessible to North American Celtic supporters, but also for kids who are coming up. They have choices in terms of the sports they can partake in, and to have an avenue with a club such as Celtic, I think is absolutely phenomenal. So hopefully this continues. Like Phil said, this is only the start. Maybe it's a pilot project, and we can open this up in more cities with a strong Irish and Scottish connection, and drive the club. Bring through the stars for the future. Hopefully we can get a couple of American players. One thing I want to go back to Phil here for a second. You mentioned you had talked to Neil Lennon both yesterday as well as today. What's your assessment of Neil Lennon's demeanor, his state of being here in the U.S.? How does that contrast against what you find in Scotland? Because my impression is very consistently Neil Lennon has a tendency to be brusque with the press in Glasgow, with good reason. When I saw him yesterday at his press conference, he was relaxed. Yeah. He seemed delighted to hear. He was very easygoing. What are your thoughts?
Well, the first thing, the reason that he is relaxed here, and the reason that he's relaxed is he doesn't need bodyguards. And he needs bodyguards in Glasgow because there's people who wish to do him harm. There are currently people in prison because they tried to do him harm, and we know who we are talking about, and they're not here in any appreciable numbers. So he doesn't need security, so therefore he's going to be relaxed. And the Neil Lennon you meet when he's relaxed and not under threat is amiable, personable. He is great.
He's not snarling, he's not aggressive, he's not, you didn't feel threatened by him at any point?
Well, the other morning in the Hyatt, in the lobby of the Hyatt, walked up to him, knows who I am, shook his hand, had a chat. We were in the elevator going up to the presser, even in the post-match presser today, with the bad news about young Dylan McGeoch, he was courteous, polite, answered everyone's question, and even when one of the Spanish journalists sort of threw a curveball at him about the Celtic players had not posed for a pre-match photograph, he sort of smiled and says, well, I'll have a word with him about that because we usually do a huddle, right? So
fantastic. That's absolutely brilliant.
Neil Lennon outside Glasgow is the real Neil Lennon. He's relaxed, he's personable, he's amiable, he comes readily equipped with self-deprecating humour, but in Glasgow, because it's not a normal situation, he's followed around on his job by a really, really big guy, and I mean a really, really, really big guy, the genuine human shield, and he's there to protect him. I don't know of many football managers in Europe that have to work under those conditions. So this has been, although it's been He got a lot out of it, he says, in a football sense, because the players against Real Madrid hardly had the ball, they had to do a lot of chasing, and that might even stand them in good stead for the Champions League. But Neil Lennon around the lobby, the Hyatt Hotel, and around the stadium doesn't have any security because he's in a normal society, so he doesn't need any.
And we're getting the Celtic supporters filing in the masses. As they've filed out of the stadium now, they're making their way up through the subway back into Fido here. And we just want to thank Fido for hosting us and allowing us to broadcast from here. It's been absolutely phenomenal. We're hearing the chants come out from the Celtic supporters. How do you think, Priya, I'll go back to you here. How do you think the Celtic support did as in terms of creating the atmosphere? I mean, you and I were right in the thick of it. I heard no singing, no chanting from the Real Madrid support for whatever it was. But do you think that we made a statement with the atmosphere that was there? Were you impressed by it? How does it compare with certainly your experiences in Australia, where it's a similar dynamic where Celtic is coming over trying to tap into that resource there? Yeah. How do you think we did on a scale of A to F? I mean, give us a grade.
Look, friendly matches are always difficult anyway for a fan to get motivated about it. But obviously the fans were really up for it today. I'll have to be perfectly honest. The atmosphere was good, but it wasn't. We didn't hit it out of the ballpark. And that's mainly because you're standing next to a whole bunch of guys that you don't know really well, and a lot of them are, Celtic supporters have probably never seen a Celtic game before. This is their first time, and I spoke to a lot of young kids. This is their first game, and that's great. I'm not being elitist and saying that they're not a part of something big, therefore you don't know the words or whatever. Them coming along is you can't put a value on that. It's fantastic for the club. So in terms of the atmosphere, compared to a Parkhead or whatever, you're not going to replicate that. You can't replicate that. That's what makes Paradise so special.
No question.
That's what it makes going to away games so special. Like Helsinki, there was like 500 of us, and we outsung the other. Yeah, we outsung the other 10,000 Helsinki.
You're the 500 loudest people on the face of the planet, my friend, because it was belting through the speakers.
Oh, was it really?
No question.
I mean, when we scored the second goal, and I know the folks at home will listen to this knew this, but when we scored the second goal, they started singing. That old hymn from Mass. Actually, I've got a mental block now. It's No. It was. Oh no, it's gone. The music in the background's surrounding me. But anyway, when it comes to me, I'll start singing it. But just.
It's been a little while since my last Mass, so I can't contribute.
Basically, we're saying, I was there when we won away from home, this is the day. Yeah, this is the day. This is the day that we won away, We shall rejoice. And, they didn't sing it once. They didn't sing it twice. They sang it 35 times over. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the day. And you can look at all the fans on the ground, look at us going, these guys are nuts.
Oh, it's normal, right?
I know, and it was brilliant, It was just, and that's the great thing about Celtic. It's not disingenuous. It's not being coordinated by a guy in a media box telling you when to stand up, when to sing, whatever. It's organic. It just happens. And that's what makes the club special. So, it's hard to replicate today. But look, it doesn't matter. As long as the kids that rocked up enjoyed the experience and are going to love the club for the rest of their lives and one day make that trip to Celtic Park, we've done our job.
No question. I would count myself in that sort of population in terms of hopefully one day I'll make it to Celtic Park. You were there. You heard my wife. She gave me the approval. I've never been. Not many once. Coach has been to Parkhead one time. They played a guitar and they lost. Never mind. But Free, you were there. He was there. My wife said I could go to Parkhead this fall.
He was in Helsinki. I can't believe that.
He's a world traveler. I can't be more jealous. This wasn't your first experience with Celtics playing here in North America, was it?
No, I've been to about 15 games in North America.
We get so much stick, in terms of creating atmosphere, creating turnout. How does this measure up versus the other experiences that you've had supporting Celtic in North America?
I was with my son, who was born in Scotland, Irvine, and he lives in Canada now. We're big Celtic fans. And we're at the game, and I said, Callum, one thing you really need to see is 50,000 Celtic fans singing "You Never Walk Alone," Because until you've seen that, I don't know, that means a lot. When I was listening, what's your name?
Prefontaine.
What?
Prefontaine.
I'm not sure what you said there, but anyway,
Just make it up.
he was talking about Helsinki and singing "This Is the Day" or whatever. When I started supporting Celtic in the 70s, I had an Uncle Arthur who, he's the one that helped my father become a Catholic to marry my mum, who was a Donnelly. Anyway, so one of the first experience of the Celtic fans was they lost 4-1 to Aberdeen. And for, I don't know, maybe an hour after the game, we were singing on the terraces. And it really spoke to me. I thought, here's a team that can have a lot of fun, even if we don't win, right? And that to me spoke volumes. And maybe the pinnacle of that was I took my son, when he was 18, and took him to see Celtic Barcelona there. And we lost 1-0, right? But it was one of the greatest nights, We're all singing like crazy up in the terraces. And that's the thing, right? So whether you win or lose, the atmosphere is what wins in the end, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes you the lifelong Celtic fan, And I can't believe you haven't been to Parkhead. I honestly can't. I've heard you on the radio lots of times. I can't believe you haven't been there. What is wrong with you? We need to start a fund to send the guy over. I can't believe it. How can you comment on the Celtic games if you haven't been there? I don't think that's right.
That was amazing. That's what I've discovered since. That's what I've discovered since coming to North America and meeting Celtic supporters here is that, like back home in Australia, most people, their background is Irish or Scottish. But I've met so many guys on this trip that they've got no ethnic connection to Celtic. It's purely a sporting-based relationship which is then developed. And that's great. I met a guy at a bar yesterday who was from Pittsburgh. He's been supporting Celtic for 3 years because he needed something to do in the off-season between the American football season. And he thought, I don't know why he chose Celtic. He just chose Celtic. He was green. Like he asked me what's with this Rangers singing orange? And I was like, oh, do you want the long story or the short story? But him and his wife, they're in their 50s or 60s, and they're going to go to their first Charlie the Voice concert. I was like, fuck it. I mean, it was like, do you swear on your podcast? We swear on my podcast. Yeah. Like, fucking hell, like, I said, I hope you're not wearing your good shoes because they're going to get a bit messy. This is going to get real, Having said that, it was pretty tame last night, but even still, I saw him later on that night, and he was loving it. He was in his element, and that's a great story. It's a great story about North American Celtic supporters. Is it's not just people whose background is Irish or Scots. It's a broader family than that. It's something that Celtic need to do more often outside of just North America. But they're genuine fans. When you meet a Man U fan or a Real Madrid fan, you ask them 3 simple questions. What year was the club founded? Who founded the club? And maybe what's the address of the stadium? They wouldn't know any of those answers. If they could answer one of those, I'd be surprised. You ask any Celtic supporter.
Can I just interrupt for a minute? Ronaldo, Dylan McGeoch's on his back, unconscious. Ronaldo walks off, takes his top off, throws it to the Real Madrid fan.
Good point.
That was terrible. That was terrible.
Lack of class, scumbag. I didn't like him before. I certainly don't like him now.
Good point.
Listen, I appreciate being here. I gotta go though, right? I gotta take the wife out for a meal. Ronaldo is a scumbag, right?
Harry, you take it off. Thank you so much.
I wish I was in Helsinki.
Alright, thank you.
Phil.
It's good to see you. I'll talk to you soon. Phil, you've seen Celtic in many different locales, countries, if you will. You were in the press box.
So I was. This is a home game. This is a home fixture. This is home turf.
We're here in Philadelphia, the 33rd county. It's not a shithole. It's a beautiful city.
It's a gorgeous city. One of the guys in the press box today came in. He works at the Constitutional Centre. He's a veteran in the US Army, African American lad. He came in green and white hoops, but not a Celtic top because we'd been given pre-information not to come in and wear any club colours. Fine, and and you see me, I'm in a t-shirt, I'm not in club colours, but he just came in something very close to it, and Mike's his name, and he said to me at half time, he says, and I swear to God, he says, and I was drinking my half-time coffee, he says, our tenant's still sponsoring Sevco. I spluttered my coffee. I love this guy. Oh, you know, and the guy done a master's degree on the quote-unquote Old Firm. And I just thought, if you'd have said to me I'd been sitting next to a museum curator, ex of Fort Bragg, in a green and white hoop top, mentioning Sevco and offering me a tour of the US Constitution Centre, I just said, you needed some help, but it's great. I love it. I love this city. It's home turf for Celtic. We got to come back here.
No question, you know. And Bree, you and I were involved in some of the tailgating opportunities, which I think was a bit new to you in certain ways. But you know, we even saw in the parking lot some of Philadelphia police, Philadelphia's finest, on a motorcycle, Harley Davidson, doing figure eights through the Celtic support, and you know, everybody's cheering and chasing him around. I mean, he just embraced it. He loved it. It's a scene you're never going to see in Scotland. Yeah, and it's just such a contrast there. Yeah, you know, in terms of the perspective of the natural support, the natural population. It's absolutely fabulous to see.
A good contrast between those two, or that example you're making, is that when I was at Parkhead for the first game against, it was a game against Aberdeen, a young kid was getting chucked out by the police. This is at half time underneath the Lisbon Lions stand, and a young kid was getting chucked out. We're not sure why. Like, he would have been like 15, 16, and the police were really, it was like 8 or 9 police, Strathclyde police, that were being very heavy-handed with him. And Celtic fans around were irate, like they were giving the police absolute like pelters, you know, because and they were yelling out, you know, for fuck's sake, he's only fucking 15. The boy's fucking 15. You know? And these guys, like, there was like, I would say about 70 Celtic supporters surrounded this police and were just like giving them a hard time, and rightly so. I know what the kids did, but they, you know, Celtic supporters, we don't really like authority. We certainly don't like, you know, Glasgow's finest, and you know, and they let them know it. Doesn't mean that we're angry people. It just means that when we see injustice, we're going to, you know, stand up and do something about it. But compare that to Philadelphia, where the Philly cops are riding around on motorbikes and we're trying to throw scarves on them, you know, and we're all drinking illegally in the street, you know. That's fantastic, and that's what it should be. But unfortunately, Scotland's not like that, because it's a pretty bigoted country that has a problem with Irish Catholics, and that's another story, I guess.
Very unfortunate, yeah, that fact. So many people we were finally able to meet in person. I mean, obviously, I've spoken to you a couple times. Phil, we've spoken constantly. The coach, yeah, I see him all the time. But it's just phenomenal. I mean, we have Deco right over here. Deco is talking to my wife. I don't even want to know what he's saying. But if he's trying to talk her out of allowing me to go to Parkhead, I'll kill him. I said it on live radio. I don't care. I'll stand by it. Deco, come on over here and say a couple words. Come on, get over here, and then you're gonna do some flying. Deco from Dublin, say hello. What's your takeaway from this weekend? Have you had a good time? Speak into the microphone, son.
It's very strange for me to have stage fright, but to be honest, I'm surrounded by pretty much legends around me.
How can you have stage fright? You're a pest.
That might excuse why I think I'm surrounded by legends, because maybe I am pissed. But anyway, no, this weekend was fantastic. What was put on by the boys here was unbelievable. This whole weekend has been nothing but spectacular. And you know what? I'll give a tiny little bit of credit. Celtic were open to meeting people at the Hyatt, and unless you knew they were there,
Is he broken? Hello? Oil.
Anyway, sorry. Anyway,
Come on in here.
what what I will say is, I was dragged into this conversation, and I didn't really want to be part of this.
I think it's the first time that I've seen Deco speechless. But I'll tell you what, pal. I'm so glad I got the opportunity to meet you. I had such a good time. You're literally, no question about it, you are the funniest person I've ever met in my life. You've had me in stitches from start to finish. I can't wait to see you again. I'm sad that this weekend has to come to an end, but hopefully we have more opportunities to get together. I love you, man. I really mean it. Thank you so much.
Stage fright is not my usual cup of tea, but guess what? It is. But what I will say is, this weekend, fantastic. They put on one hell of a show. You know what? It was 12 hours for a drive for me to come down. And I tell you what, if it was 24 hours, I'll do it again. Because what these guys put on in Philadelphia, sure the result wasn't the best, but guess what? It was one hell of a party. And God bless.
Deco is now clear for takeoff. Mike Roman, get in here. Mike of the Philadelphia CSC. Mike, thank you so much for coming on and for welcoming us into your CSC here. City of my birth, and the club that I've such a fondness for. It's really the if I can't make it to Parkhead, this is a close second. So thank you so much for everything that you've done in terms of facilitating all of this. It's been absolutely phenomenal. What are your thoughts? I mean, would you judge this weekend as a success?
Atmosphere was absolutely incredible. Atmosphere was incredible. The boys that came in were just absolutely incredible. They made this weekend incredibly great. We had some very good events that were going on this weekend. It was all you boys that were coming in that made this great for everybody. Everybody's having a great time. It started on Thursday night. It's going through Friday night. Through tonight, it's going to go into tomorrow. This is what we're all about. This is what Celtic's about. This is the Celtic family.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And listen, this party is not over, okay? The game is over. We're going to continue on. This is going to be another fantastic night where we can be with fellow Tims and just have a phenomenal time. If you're watching on Ustream or YouTube or whatever the coach is doing, if you're jealous, you should be. Mike, thank you so much, and we'll speak to you soon. I definitely owe you a pint. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Good man. Another person I need to highlight, and I can't highlight enough. Phil, I want to give you. I want you to give me your thoughts here, but first, Seamus Cummins, what he did to facilitate so many things this weekend. If it's the Famine Memorial and the ceremony that was attended by Celtic, and to their credit, they attended, they did that, they embraced their Irish heritage. We had Brother Bryce from the Marist Twitter of New Jersey come over, and I mean, it's just a phenomenal situation, and I can't thank Seamus enough, and his blood, it's really cannot be sung any higher. Phil, your thoughts there. Seamus obviously played a huge part in this weekend, and then also, give us your thoughts in terms of the ceremony at the Famine Memorial last night.
It's not often I'm stuck for words, but it's difficult to sum up somebody like Seamus Cummins and the quality of the man and how he sums up being an Irish American, being a Celtic supporter. It was an honour for me to be asked to speak at the Famine Memorial. I was delighted that the club was officially represented there, and I was even happier to see that it was the lead story on the club's official website today. I know they're working on putting the video stream up. I was speaking to the guy that does that today.
Anthony Stokes, Tony Hamilton were both there.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And when I actually got out there with Seamus before the ceremony, when I first saw the Famine Memorial there, I know you were there, you saw it, I was taken by surprise emotionally. I had to walk away for a couple of minutes. It is a stunning monument. It tells the story of Gortamore. But part of my emotional mood was the fact that there's no such thing, there's no such monument in my native city, which is as much a famine city as this one. Yet there is still more than an element of the old know-nothings in my native city. Yeah, and that's work that I have to do. I'm not much that concerned with deceased football clubs these days, now that they're deceased, despite what some of their erstwhile fans may think. But if I've got breath left in me, I'm going to work and write and agitate and meet and convince and cajole that in the public space in Glasgow by 2017 there is a fitting memorial to Angor Timor in Glasgow.
Fantastic, Phil. Now, I think that really encapsulates the event last night at the memorial. Now, tell us what's on the horizon for Phil McGillivan. You have another book coming out. I'm really looking forward to this. On the heels of the Rebel Journalist. Tell us a little bit about how the book's coming along, when we can expect it, and give us a little flavor for what you're putting out there this time.
Okay, well, the book's called Downfall: How Rangers Self-Destructed, and it's out at the end of the month. How's the book's coming along? Book's written. The presses are ready to roll. I think the presses roll next couple of days, as far as I know, which is good, wonderful. Just waiting to see the cover design. I'm told it's an absolute cracker, and it's going to literally tell the story of how that club that passed on, that deceased club, that club that has ceased to be, that has shuffled off this mortal coil, and all those other things, it's pining for the fjords, how it's self-destructed. And there are various people there are various themes in the book. Like, there's a finance story, there's a governance story.
Wait, you do finance and politics as well as sport?
Well, sorry about that.
That's a little advanced, compared to what we've come to expect from daily record journalists.
Yeah.
It's either one or the other. They can't do both.
Well, this is the problem when you educate Fenians.
It's a dangerous.
Yeah. When you get 4 degrees and none of them involve goats.
Fantastic stuff, Bill. Let's go around the horn here before we wrap it up, and just your one takeaway from this weekend. Absolutely phenomenal time. We're gonna keep it going here this evening. Just so much fun for me, and I pray that this is not the last time that we can all get together and celebrate and support Celtic. Bree, let's go to you. What's your one takeaway from this weekend?
Look, I'm really motivated, and I'm really enthused about the strength of the Celtic support here in North America. I think sometimes the Irish or the Scots disposition, we tend to dwell on the negatives a lot.
Wait, me?
And I think sometimes we probably should focus on some of the positives. And here's one positive here: the support here in North America is fantastic. Look, I was always aware that it was strong. Obviously when you're connected to the club, you read a lot.
And you're a Red Sox fan.
And I'm a Red Sox fan. Go Sox. But I didn't realise how significantly strong the support here is in North America, and how it's gone beyond just the expats. It's the natives as well love this football club, and that can only be a good thing. And I've loved the city of Philadelphia. It's been great to be in your country. It's been great to be in this city and meet some wonderful people like yourselves. The Beyond the Waves podcast has done a great service for the club and for the supporters as well. And long may it should continue. And obviously, and blokes like Phil here and the Rangers tax case. The Celtic supporters are a very self-motivated group of people, as a collective as well, though. So things like Twitter and social media in general has been a great thing for the club and the support in general. I hark back to the days when my mum and dad first emigrated out to Australia in the late 50s, and we won the European Cup in '67. I think my brother told the story that he saw the game 8 weeks later in a picture theatre. Now, could you imagine having to deal with that week after week? So we're blessed with multimedia now that we can sit in our own houses and watch the games and stuff. And just being in North America in general has been fantastic, and meeting the Celtic support, and I'll be back without a doubt.
Great stuff. We can't wait for you to come back. Hopefully my wife and all of her, and I want to thank my wife. Honey, thank you for allowing me to be a band-bot and to do things like this.
Why is she walking away?
Trust me, it happens a lot. I just want to thank her for dealing with this and just... Oh, yeah, all right. Well, we'll get there in a minute. Let me circle the wagons. But thank you, honey. Hush. But Bree, thank you so much. Not just for like reaching out to me on Twitter and getting this coordinated so we can meet up. And we wound up sitting together today. It was a phenomenal time. Great to spend some time with you, hearing about your travels across the world. And I can't wait for the next Rebel podcast because that better be radio gold considering the travels that you've had, the experiences that you had. I love your show. I've been a huge advocate for it since it started. It blends the educational with the humor. You guys are absolutely brilliant. Keep it up, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Phil,
I probably should say a quick hello to my nephew Callum, who's going to kill me if I don't say something. And
Donner 67.
And Donner 67. Look, Callum, I don't know if we can do a Rebel podcast the day I land back in Melbourne. Can we at least wait a day? I need to get some sleep.
Give him a couple of days.
I'm pure chateau by the way.
No question. Give him a couple days. Let him get his biorhythms or his body clock or whatever you want to call it. Let him get that back. We talked about your clever use of the C word on the show, which we absolutely fantastically love. It doesn't go over so big here in the U.S., but we love you all the same. Phil, next over to you. What's your one takeaway from this weekend?
Just the extent to which Celtic are at home here. Yeah? I mean, Celtic fans, wherever they travel, are a party, but the extent to which Philadelphia is home tough for Celtic. And I just hope that the people that run the club get that as well. I know that North American Tims have travelled far and wide to get here, but the very fact that Philadelphia itself is home tough, and in many, many ways North America, from sea to shining sea, is home tough for the famous Glasgow Celtic.
Fantastic. Phil, thank you so much for being such a good friend of the show and just coming on, sharing your information with us and being kind to me in spite of what my accent is, how I sound, how I come off, how long-winded I am. I really appreciate it. I just want to shake your hand.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you for everything that you've
I
done.
wouldn't have missed this for anything. Cheers, buddy.
Great stuff. Maybe we'll get a word out of the coach before we wrap it up. Coach, give us a word. Coach, what's your one takeaway from this whole weekend? From everything?
I am, wasn't I? It was an unbelievable fucking weekend with Tims from all over the world, and the loss means nothing because it was just a great time overall. So, you weren't here, you missed it, and next time, be here.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Absolutely. Really summed it up. If you weren't here, you should have been. You can see the atmosphere here. You can hear it. We're here. And I'm going to speak directly into the camera here. Peter Lowell, I met you yesterday. I think we had a productive conversation, but there's still more work that needs to be done. But you got a glimpse of what is possible here, and you need to take the ball and run with it. And there's more cliches that I can come up with. I extended my hand to you. Are you going to give me your hand back? Are you going to give all these fans here your hand back? That's the question here. It's up to you. It's left up to you. But again, what a phenomenal time. What a phenomenal experience. Thank you so much. I mean, we've been on the air here now for a little over a year. Thank you so much for all the people who have listened to our show in spite of what I sound like and my neurosis. And we'll just keep going and keep supporting Celtic. We have a nice international break coming up, so we'll get rested, we'll get recharged, and then it's back at it against Ross County, and then we're going to take on the Swedish mob. So my voice is absolutely done. I need another cider. I'm wrapping it up. But from Philadelphia, thank you so much. I'm getting something in here. Got a picture of us from Tiro gain. Oh, that's the ref? You gotta explain this stuff to me. I should be doing that. Chilling at those. Oh, yeah. Shout out to the ref, as Paul Arkin. And shout out to Paul Arkin, the green and white writer, who has been instrumental in this whole process as well. He pointed out that Yanks can't drink. And he's correct in that. I won't debate it. And I'm going to prove it tonight. But the Rev is not feeling so good after last night. Got people checking in, saying hello. We're going to wrap it up. But thank you so much for listening in. Hail, and keep the faith. We'll talk to you soon.
The island, it is silent now, but the ghosts still haunt the waves. And a torch lights up a famished man who fortune could not save. Did you work upon the railroads? Did you ride the streets of crime? Were your dollars from the White House? Were they from the 5 and dime? Did the old songs start to cheer you? And did they still make you cry? Did you count the months and years? Or did your teardrops quickly dry? I know that it was not to be on a coffin ship. I came here and I never even got so far that they could change my name. Thousands are sailing across the western ocean to a land of opportunity that some of them will never see. Fortune prevailing across the western ocean, their bellies full, their spirits free. They'll break the chains of poverty and they'll dance. In Manhattan's desert twilight, in the dead of afternoon, we stepped hand in hand on Broadway, like the first man on the moon. And a blackbird broke the silence as you whistled, it's so sweet. And in Brendan Behan's footsteps, I danced up and down the street. And we said goodnight to Broadway, giving it our best regards. Took our hats to Mr. Cohen, dear old Times Square's favorite bird. Then we raised a glass to JFK and a dozen more besides. When I got back to my empty room, I suppose I must have cried. Thousands are sailing again across the ocean with a hand of opportunity, just tickets